Stop caring about what people think. The Stoic Path. Welcome to Stoic in Your Life. Today, we're diving into a powerful truth. Stop caring about what people think. Imagine living free from others' opinions, a life guided by your own principles, not by society's shifting expectations. Sounds liberating, right? Yet so often, we waste energy trying to meet others' standards, fearing judgment, and hiding our true selves. In a world that pressures us to conform, living authentically is a quiet act of rebellion. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, once said, "We all love ourselves more than others, but care more about their opinion than our own." He reminds us that true strength is found within, not in others' approval. Today, let's explore why letting go of these fears isn't just a philosophy. It's a path to a fulfilled life. Ready to replace others' expectations with your own? To live unapologetically, boldly as your truest self? Let's dive in. It's time to reclaim your life. 1. The Stoic Perspective. The wisdom of the Stoics, these ancient philosophers who walked the earth thousands of years ago, offers insights into human nature that still resonate deeply today. Let's look at Epictetus, a man born into slavery who rose to become one of the greatest thinkers of his time. Epictetus teaches us that true power lies not in what happens to us, but in how we choose to react to it. Think about this in the context of being unapologetically yourself. You can't control others' thoughts or judgments, but you can control how you respond. When someone calling you out for being too ambitious or too reserved, the typical reaction might be to shrink, to apologize, to fall back into the crowd. But the Stoic approach would ask, is their opinion within my control? Is my response within my control? Absolutely. And this is the essence of personal strength. Responding to the world from a place of inner stability, rather than bending to every opinion. Moving to Marcus Aurelius, Rome's philosopher king, we see this concept of inner mastery expanded. In his personal reflections, meditations, Marcus wrote, "Be your own master, and look at things as a man, as a human being, as a citizen, as a mortal." He reminds us that we're more than the sum of others' expectations. We're individuals, endowed with thoughts, feelings, and a purpose that's uniquely ours. And Marcus goes further, saying, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The power of these words lies in their call for self-reliance. We cannot control if others approve or disapprove of us, but we can always control our resolve to remain true to our principles. In modern life, this principle applies seamlessly. Consider someone who is committed to taking care of their mental health, setting boundaries, or improving their physical well-being, even when those around them dismiss these priorities. The person unsure of their values might laugh off their own goals, letting the opinions of friends or family diminish their efforts. But a Stoic, firm in self-awareness, knows that their commitment to growth isn't compromised by others' opinions. They might ask themselves, why should I sacrifice my health or peace of mind to meet expectations that don't align with my values? Seneca, another Stoic heavyweight, gave us timeless advice on this. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. For the Stoics, learning wasn't about simply amassing knowledge. It was about understanding ourselves deeply, evolving to live in line with our truest values. Seneca also taught that he who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. In modern terms, we might think of this as the peace that comes from being genuine. When you're aligned with your values and intentions, you no longer have to wear masks or force yourself into roles that feel wrong. You're not fighting against your own nature. You're embracing it. So how can we apply Stoic principles to stop caring about what others think and start living authentically? First, we need to make self-reflection a habit. Take time every day to examine your actions and intentions. Ask yourself, am I living according to my values or am I adjusting my behavior to win others' approval? This introspection builds a solid foundation of self-awareness. Second, focus on what you can control. Your actions, your thoughts, your responses. These are within your power. But trying to control others' opinions is a waste of energy. As Marcus Aurelius said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This idea is as relevant today as it was centuries ago. The third lesson is to embrace discomfort. Growth often happens outside our comfort zones. It's natural to feel uneasy when we're being true to ourselves, especially when it challenges the status quo or disrupts others' expectations. Yet these moments of discomfort are precisely where authenticity blossoms. By enduring criticism or misunderstanding, we strengthen our commitment to our values. Fourth, practice indifference to criticism. Remember, not everyone will appreciate the real you, and that's okay. When we accept this, we free ourselves from the burden of people-pleasing. Being yourself doesn't mean disregarding others' feelings, it means having the courage to stand by your convictions. Finally, live according to nature. In Stoic terms, this doesn't mean abandoning society to live in the woods. It means understanding your nature, your strengths, weaknesses, values, and passions, and aligning your life with these truths. When you do this, you no longer need to apologize for who you are. Instead, you find a sense of harmony that comes from being in sync with your authentic self. Being unapologetically yourself isn't about being inflexible or ignoring others. It's about the courage to live in alignment with your values and to stand firm in your identity, despite external pressures. Epictetus said it best. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This is more than a philosophy. It's a call to action. Define who you want to be, and then have the strength to live it out, regardless of who approves or disapproves. The world doesn't need more people who fit into molds. It needs individuals who have the courage to be true to themselves. So, take these Stoic principles to heart, reflect on your values, and live with integrity, knowing that the path to fulfillment is found within, not in the approval of others. 2. Eastern Philosophy Insights. In reflecting on Stoic wisdom and Eastern philosophy, we uncover a powerful truth that bridges East and West. Authenticity is a timeless key to living well. Imagine for a moment the calm confidence that would come from living without apology, rooted in your true self. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This resonates with us today as we navigate the pressures and opinions of the modern world. Let's turn to Eastern philosophy for insight. In China, Confucius emphasized sincerity as part of a perfect life, suggesting that to be true to oneself is essential to virtue. He said, "To practice 5 things under all circumstances constitutes perfect virtue: gravity, generosity of soul, sincerity, earnestness, and kindness." Confucius doesn't just talk about acting virtuous. He speaks to a deeper inner truthfulness, urging us to live honestly with ourselves and others. Without self-awareness, he warns, true knowledge is impossible. This insight touches on a crucial part of the journey to authenticity: knowing yourself deeply. How can we be unapologetically ourselves if we don't know who we truly are? For Confucius, understanding what we know and acknowledging what we don't is a powerful act of self-awareness, allowing us to shed pretense and stand firmly in our own reality. In Taoism, Lao Tzu offered a simple yet profound statement. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everyone will respect you. This Taoist principle calls us away from the endless, exhausting race of comparison and competition. Consider how often our dissatisfaction and insecurity come from measuring ourselves against others. Lao Tzu reminds us that peace and respect are found in embracing our uniqueness and letting go of the need to prove ourselves. Think about the energy you'd save and the peace you'd gain by focusing solely on being true to yourself, rather than constantly keeping score with the world around you. Are we willing to give up this tendency to compare and instead find strength in our distinct path? Moving to Japan, we find the Zen Buddhist practice of mindfulness, which is rooted in the concept of shoshin, or beginner's mind. Shoshin encourages approaching life with openness, curiosity, and a willingness to see without the bias of prior judgments or rigid self-concepts. Being unapologetically yourself requires dropping the masks, the false identities, and meeting the world with an honest, open heart. How many times do we put up walls or hide behind roles to feel accepted? Zen reminds us that true authenticity means being present in each moment as we are, without needing to defend or justify ourselves. Further into Japanese philosophy, the Bushido Samurai Code speaks to the virtue of makoto, or sincerity, teaching that real strength lies in authenticity, not in pretense or deception. The samurai lived by this code as a matter of honor, finding power not in hiding who they were, but in fully embracing it. This echoes the Stoic call to live consistently with our values. When we act with sincerity, without pretending or hiding, we build an unshakable inner strength. Think of the confidence and resilience that come from knowing that what others think doesn't diminish who we are or our worth. Have you felt that strength in moments of true sincerity, when you allowed yourself to be fully you, without apology? Eastern and Western philosophies converge on this universal truth. Authenticity is a source of power. They teach us to practice self-awareness, presence, and sincerity, urging us to stop comparing, competing, and adjusting ourselves to fit molds that are not our own. This wisdom is timeless, but how can we integrate it today? One way is to cultivate daily self-reflection. The Stoics and Confucius both valued this practice. By spending just a few moments reflecting on whether we lived according to our own principles, we start to see where we are aligning with ourselves and where we might be apologizing for who we are. Are we following our values, or are we still catering to the opinions of others? Another approach is to let go of comparison. As Lao Tzu advises, finding contentment within ourselves eliminates the need to measure up to others. Each time we catch ourselves comparing, we can pause, redirect that energy inward, and remind ourselves that our worth isn't defined by anyone else. Finally, we can practice shoshin by approaching situations with curiosity and openness, rather than being trapped in old, limiting self-concepts. This means showing up fully, as we are, and not as the person we think we need to be. The Japanese saying, "The nail that sticks out gets hammered down," might feel like a warning, yet it also reminds us that those who stand out, who live true to themselves, are often the ones who make a lasting impact. Yes, choosing authenticity can bring criticism or resistance, but it's also the path to living a life that's genuinely yours, one that fulfills you from within. So I ask you, are you ready to stop apologizing and start standing firm in who you are? Can you embrace this timeless wisdom from East and West, grounding yourself in authenticity and living with the courage to be unapologetically you? Remember, as Epictetus once said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. The path to authenticity is a call to action, a challenge to define who you truly are and to live that truth boldly, trusting that being yourself is not only enough, it's your greatest strength. 3. The power of authenticity. Let's get straight to it. Authenticity isn't just a buzzword or a feel-good philosophy. It's a transformative power, a superpower that can reshape how you live, how you relate to others, and ultimately, how you view yourself. In a world that constantly pushes us to conform, especially as men moving through life with decades of experience, the pressure to meet expectations, to wear the right mask for each situation, is relentless. But authenticity changes everything. It begins by freeing you from the exhausting act of keeping up appearances. Think about the energy we waste trying to fit an ideal that doesn't match who we truly are. When you let go of these facades, you stand taller. speak more confidently, and act with clarity and purpose. It's like the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." When you're being true to yourself, your confidence radiates naturally, and those around you can't help but notice the strength in your presence. Authenticity gives you the power to face life head-on, grounded in your true identity, rather than an image created to please or impress others. Another powerful outcome of being authentic is that it draws the right people into your life, people who respect you for who you are, not for who you're pretending to be. Real relationships, built on honesty and genuine connection, thrive when you're unapologetically yourself. Imagine the depth and meaning in connections where there's no need for pretense. When you're true to yourself, you filter out the people who don't resonate with your values and you attract those who share them. You might remember the quote, "I am who I am. Your approval is not needed." This statement, simple as it is, reflects the freedom and peace that come when you're surrounded by people who value the real you. Building a life around authentic relationships not only strengthens personal bonds, but also reinforces self-respect, because you're no longer seeking validation from the wrong places. You're not trying to mold yourself to fit someone else's expectations. You're standing firm in your own truth, and that's a powerful foundation for any relationship. Authenticity doesn't just build confidence and foster meaningful relationships. It's also a critical factor in achieving true success. Take a look at the lives of impactful figures who left a mark on the world. Steve Jobs, for instance, famously said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." He didn't change the world by following the crowd. He pursued his unique vision, and by doing so, reshaped an entire industry. This isn't about career success alone. It's about living in alignment with your personal purpose, following your passions, and leveraging your unique strengths. When you live authentically, you unlock a deeper sense of fulfillment because you're no longer trapped in the chase to meet societal standards or someone else's definition of success. Instead, you're innovating, creating, and contributing in ways that resonate with your own spirit and strengths, leading to achievements that feel genuinely rewarding. One of the most overlooked but vital benefits of authenticity is the reduction of stress. Living a life that's not true to who you are is not only tiring, but also mentally draining. It's a constant struggle to remember the roles you're playing, the opinions you're trying to sway, or the personas you're projecting. Brené Brown perfectly captures this when she says, "Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are." Imagine the relief, the weight lifted off your shoulders when you stop pretending and allow yourself to be. This daily practice of authenticity is liberating because it allows you to approach life with a sense of ease, without the anxiety of living up to someone else's ideals. There's a significant freedom in letting go, in releasing yourself from the idea that you need to be something other than who you truly are. In a society where every flaw is scrutinized, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to be fully human, is a courageous act that frees you from unnecessary stress. Living authentically leads to a deeper level of self-respect. It's about valuing your own opinions, your own judgments, over the fleeting and often contradictory opinions of others. As Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, once said, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." In other words, why do we place so much weight on others' judgments when, deep down, we know ourselves best? When you're unapologetically yourself, you reclaim your power. You say, "My opinion of myself matters more than anyone else's." This shift is transformative. It's not about disregarding others. It's about understanding that your self-worth doesn't hinge on external validation. You stand as your own source of value, your own benchmark of worth. Let's be honest, authenticity is not easy. Society bombards us with messages telling us how to look, how to act, and how to live. Social media amplifies this, filling our screens with curated, filtered lives that can make us feel like we're constantly falling short. But here's the truth. You don't have to fit anyone else's mold to be valuable. You are allowed to be, as the saying goes, both a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. Authenticity isn't about achieving perfection. It's about embracing your imperfections as part of your unique identity. You don't need to apologize for being a work in progress because that's what makes you human. You don't need to apologize for being different because that's what makes you you. The Stoics, the philosophers, the visionaries, they all understood that authenticity is more than just a virtue. It's a path to freedom, to purpose, and to true fulfillment. The power to live this way is in your hands, but it requires a choice, a daily commitment to be real in a world that often celebrates the superficial. Choose authenticity. Choose self-respect. Choose to be the person who lives on their terms. As you navigate life, remember the words of Epictetus. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This is the Stoic path, and it's also your path. The path to a life lived with strength, confidence, and true integrity. 4. The masculine art of unapologetic living. Next, let's dive into what it truly means to live as a man of integrity in today's world. Being unapologetically yourself goes far beyond self-expression. It's a testament to your inner strength and conviction. In a society that constantly tries to shape us, it's easy to fall into the trap of pretending, of bending to others' expectations, or of hiding our true nature just to fit in. But authentic masculinity rejects these masks. As Theodore Roosevelt said, "It is hard to fail, but it is worse never to have tried to succeed." Think about it. Failing is tough, but not trying to be your true self is a much greater loss. When we hide who we are or apologize for our true beliefs, we chip away at our own power. Real strength doesn't come from avoiding failure or pleasing everyone. It comes from standing firm in who you are, showing courage even in the face of discomfort, and being able to take responsibility for your life without excuses or blame. Let's look at history's great men, leaders, pioneers, visionaries who, despite setbacks and criticism, stood tall and lived with purpose. Did they apologize for their beliefs or let doubt silence them? Not a chance. They took ownership of their paths, faced challenges head-on, and refused to compromise their values. This doesn't mean they were arrogant or dismissive of others. On the contrary, truly strong men respect others, but they respect themselves first. They know their worth isn't up for debate or determined by anyone's opinion. Living unapologetically is about recognizing that your self-worth is inherent, that it doesn't fluctuate with others' approval or disapproval. It means trusting yourself, understanding that while you're open to growth, you don't need to sacrifice your core values just to fit someone else's mold. In modern life, the pressure to conform can be subtle but relentless. We see it on social media, in our social circles, or even in our workplaces. A constant barrage of messages telling us who we should be. But there's a difference between bending and adapting. Real men are resilient. They evolve without losing themselves, just as Roosevelt's words encourage us to try, to risk being ourselves fully, even if that's not always easy. Because the truth is, only when you're true to yourself can you build a life that's genuinely fulfilling. When you take responsibility for your life, when you own your choices and your path without shifting the blame, you experience a strength that's both liberating and empowering. You become the kind of man who doesn't crumble under pressure, who can stand tall during tough times. Think of the saying, "Soft men create hard times, but hard men create good times." In this context, being hard doesn't mean being unfeeling or inflexible. It means being resilient, authentic, and unwavering in your pursuit of a life lived on your terms. This strength is rooted in character, in choosing growth and purpose over comfort or the temporary satisfaction of approval. It's about holding yourself to a standard that's rooted in honesty and courage, even when it goes against the grain. The power to be unapologetically you is in your hands. It's a decision, a daily commitment to living with strength, self-respect, and purpose. This isn't about arrogance or dismissing others' viewpoints. It's about respecting yourself enough to know your worth. When you choose to live this way, you're not just shaping your own life, you're creating a ripple effect that impacts those around you. True masculine strength comes from this place, from living a life you can be proud of. No apologies needed. So, gentlemen, it's time to step up, to live with intention, and to be the men we're meant to be, authentic, resilient, and unapologetically ourselves. What's one way you'll start living more authentically today? Maybe it's saying no to something that doesn't align with your values, or just taking a moment to appreciate your unique qualities. Share your first step below. 5. Common obstacles to authenticity. Let's get real for a moment and talk about the hurdles, the walls that stand in the way of living as your true, unapologetic self. These barriers are universal, deeply rooted, and yet often unspoken, holding us back from the authenticity we desire. The first big one? The fear of judgment. It's a primal fear, woven into our psychology from the days when approval meant survival. We're social creatures, naturally inclined to seek acceptance, but here's a hard truth. Not everyone will like you, and that's not just okay. It's freeing. As Christina Grimmie once put it, confidence is not, "they will like me." Confidence is, "I'll be fine if they don't." So ask yourself, how much of your life is shaped by this need for approval? What could you do if you freed yourself from that weight? Then, there's the sneaky trap of people-pleasing. It disguises itself as kindness or diplomacy, but bending constantly to meet others' needs is a quiet betrayal of your own. True kindness isn't self-sacrifice to the point of self-erasure. Steve Maraboli reminds us, don't dilute yourself for any person or any reason. You are enough. Be unapologetically you. By bending and molding ourselves to fit in, we lose the very spark that makes us unique. What relationships or commitments in your life are built on this tendency to please rather than being rooted in mutual respect and honesty? Imposter syndrome is another beast that creeps in, telling you that you're not enough, not smart enough, not skilled enough, not deserving enough. It's a voice that convinces you that you're somehow less than. But this is a lie. You've earned your place in the world, and your worth isn't measured by perfection. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "No man can rob us of our will." Don't let these doubts rob you of your authenticity and drive. Imposter syndrome is often a sign of growth, not inadequacy. So ask yourself, if you've earned the right to be where you are, why let self-doubt dictate your journey? And then, there's the pull of social media and society's invisible expectations. Every day we're bombarded with polished highlight reels, creating a rigged game of comparison where everyone else's life seems effortlessly perfect. But as Oscar Wilde famously said, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Think of all the energy we pour into living up to these illusions. It's exhausting. Instead of playing along, what if you dedicated that energy to carving out a path that aligns with your values and passions? In a world obsessed with trends and filters, authenticity is a breath of fresh air. What would change in your life if you truly let go of the need to compete with these illusions? Another common barrier is the fear of failure and rejection. These fears push us to play it safe, to stick to the script and avoid risk. But here's the thing. Failure and rejection are inevitable, whether you're being yourself or not. If you're going to stumble, it's far better to do so as your true self, rather than a masked version. Benjamin Disraeli put it well. Never apologize for showing feeling. When you do so, you apologize for the truth. What would it look like to embrace failure as a part of growth rather than a reflection of your worth? Think of all the great men and women in history who failed countless times on their way to success. The difference was, they kept showing up, not as who they thought they should be, but as who they truly were. And finally, there's the comfort zone. It's a cozy place, no doubt, free of risks and full of routine, but staying there comes at a cost: growth. Being unapologetically yourself requires stepping out, taking risks, and being vulnerable. It's not comfortable, but as the saying goes, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. When you remain in the familiar, you deny yourself the experience of becoming, of expanding into the person you were meant to be. So, what small steps could you take to push beyond your comfort zone today? Each step out is a step closer to the real, unapologetic you. These obstacles are natural and yes, tough to tackle, but they're not insurmountable. Acknowledging them is the first step toward overcoming them. Think of every great man in history. None of them lived without fear or doubt. What set them apart was not the absence of obstacles, but the courage to be themselves in spite of them. Osho once said, "The moment you accept yourself, you become beautiful." This isn't just about physical beauty, it's the beauty of a life lived with honesty, resilience, and integrity. So, which of these obstacles resonates with you the most? Which have been holding you back? Name them, face them, and decide to move forward. On the other side of these barriers, your authentic, unapologetic self is waiting, and it's a version of you that the world truly needs to see. 6. Strategies for unapologetic living. Now is the moment to dive into practical strategies that bring unapologetic living from theory into action. This is about more than lofty ideas. It's about taking intentional steps toward being your truest self without compromise. To begin, we have self-reflection. Getting real with yourself starts with brutal honesty. Take time alone to uncover who you are when nobody's watching. What values shape your core? What passions fuel you, and what fears hold you back? Journaling, meditating, or even taking a walk in silence allows you to tune into these truths. Seneca's wisdom resonates here. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. Self-knowledge is your anchor. Without it, you'll struggle to stay true to yourself. Next, set boundaries. Recognize that your time, energy, and values are precious. They're not for others to take at will. Learning to say no firmly, without guilt, is essential to honoring yourself. Boundaries aren't about rejecting people but respecting your limits. Think of the saying, "No is a complete sentence." When you respect your boundaries, others will respect them too. Protecting your space is an act of self-respect and, in turn, makes space for genuine connections with those who appreciate you as you are. Another key step is practicing radical honesty. This means dropping the masks, refusing to sugarcoat, and stopping those little white lies that only serve to dilute your truth. Being honest with yourself and others can be uncomfortable, but the freedom it brings is worth it. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Real honesty isn't about being harsh or hurtful. It's about aligning your words and actions with your values, which builds a foundation of trust that's rock solid. Are there areas in your life where you're still hiding behind half-truths? What would change if you decided to live fully in your truth? Cultivating resilience is crucial because criticism and rejection will come. People will have opinions, but part of living unapologetically is learning to stand firm regardless. The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, negative visualization, or imagining the worst-case scenario and preparing for it mentally. This practice doesn't make you pessimistic, it makes you resilient. When setbacks come, you'll be ready, having already considered the outcome without fear. So, next time you hesitate, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And remind yourself that you can handle it. Then there's the joy of owning your quirks, those little oddities or unique qualities you might try to downplay. Embrace them wholeheartedly. Dr. Seuss famously said, "Why fit in when you were born to stand out?" The very things that set you apart are your gifts to the world. The more you accept and own these parts of yourself, the more confidently you'll walk through life. Embracing your quirks is a radical act of self-acceptance, and it gives others the courage to do the same. Another powerful strategy is continuous growth. Being true to yourself doesn't mean staying the same. Instead, Commit to learning and evolving for your own satisfaction, not for external approval. Life is a journey of growth, and each new skill, lesson, or experience enriches your authentic self. Remember, your evolution is for you, not to impress or please others. Growth rooted in self-respect is liberating because it's driven by curiosity and purpose, rather than validation. Surrounding yourself with people who reflect and respect your authenticity is also key. As Jim Rohn said, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Seek out people who are real, honest, and committed to growth, just like you. In a world of superficial relationships, connecting with those who appreciate you for who you are is invaluable. Authenticity is contagious. When you spend time with others who live with integrity, it reinforces your own path. Practicing self-compassion is essential, especially on this journey. You will stumble, you will make mistakes, and that's all part of it. Self-compassion means treating yourself with kindness, rather than harsh judgment. Think about how you'd support a friend who's going through a tough time. Offer that same understanding to yourself. Being kind to yourself helps you recover from setbacks and move forward without self-punishment. Self-compassion is the fuel that allows you to keep going, even when things get rough. And finally, taking calculated risks. Living unapologetically isn't about reckless behavior, but about stepping out of your comfort zone in ways that reflect your values. Each time you take a risk, you strengthen your authentic self. Risking the possibility of rejection or failure builds resilience and brings you closer to living fully on your terms. Think of each small step out of your comfort zone as an act of courage that chips away at anything that's holding you back from being fully yourself. Implement these strategies in small, intentional ways each day. Start with the simple acts, like expressing your thoughts in a meeting instead of holding back or wearing something that makes you feel good, regardless of others' opinions. Each step you take builds momentum, and before you know it, unapologetic living becomes second nature. Remember, as Sophia Bush beautifully put it, you are allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. This journey isn't about perfection, it's about the ongoing process of aligning your life with who you truly are. So, which strategy will you begin with today? How will you choose to show up as your authentic self in a way that's meaningful to you? The choice is yours, and each day you have the opportunity to make it count. Your authenticity is your greatest asset. The world needs the real you, unapologetically, unequivocally, and uncompromisingly. 7. Embracing the transience of opinion. In the journey of life, one of the greatest obstacles we face is our concern with what others think of us. It's an ancient dilemma that still tugs at our hearts and shapes our actions today. The Stoic philosophy, with its profound wisdom, offers a pathway to free ourselves from this needless burden by embracing the impermanence of opinion. To understand this, think about the ever-changing nature of human thought. What someone praises today, they might criticize tomorrow. Their opinions are influenced by countless external factors: emotions, new experiences, changes in belief, or even just the passing of time. Marcus Aurelius, the revered philosopher-emperor, captured this insight perfectly when he wrote in Meditations, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." Let that sink in for a moment. How many times have you let someone's passing comment weigh on your mind, only to realize later that it was nothing more than a fleeting thought, soon forgotten even by the one who spoke it? When freeing yourself from this cycle of caring so deeply about every glance, every whisper, every word others say about you, what would that look like? It would mean recognizing that these judgments are as temporary and insubstantial as clouds moving across the sky. They don't have the power to change who you are unless you allow them to. The Stoics teach us that real strength lies in the understanding that we are in control of our responses, not the whims of others. This is not a call to ignore all feedback or criticism, but rather a gentle reminder to pause and ask, does this align with my values? Does it contribute to my growth? If the answer is no, let it drift away. Mindfulness is a powerful ally on this path. By practicing mindfulness, you create space between an external judgment and your reaction. You observe the opinion, acknowledge it, but do not attach your worth to it. This detachment is where your freedom begins. When you look at a criticism as a mere reflection of someone else's mindset at that moment, it loses its hold over you. As Epictetus, a former slave who rose to become one of Stoicism's most influential teachers, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." How often do we forget this and give away our peace of mind to the fleeting judgments of others? Pause for a moment and ask yourself, am I letting someone else's transient thoughts dictate my state of mind? There is a profound sense of empowerment in realizing that your true worth comes from your own actions, guided by virtue and reason. The Stoics believed that the only things within our control are our thoughts, choices, and actions. External opinions? Those are outside your control, so why expend your energy trying to mold them to your favor? Think about it. Life is short. Would you rather spend your precious time aligning your life with your values, or adjusting yourself endlessly to match the fluctuating views of others? By focusing on what you can control, you cultivate an inner tranquility that can weather any storm. You begin to build a fortress within yourself, an unshakable core where peace resides, untouched by the fleeting opinions of others. What matters is your adherence to your principles and your commitment to virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These are the foundations that no external praise or criticism can grant or take away. When you center your life around these, you move through the world with a quiet confidence, knowing that your worth is anchored deep within. Now reflect on this. When was the last time you changed your actions because you feared what someone might think? Was it worth the internal turmoil, the doubt? Or did it only distract you from the path you truly wanted to follow? The Stoic path invites you to let go of this worry. As you do, you will find that you not only become more resilient, but also more authentic. Your actions will be driven by what is right and meaningful to you, rather than what will momentarily appease the crowd. So the next time you're tempted to adjust your behavior based on the shifting opinions around you, remember the wisdom of the Stoics. Picture Marcus Aurelius, pen in hand, noting that all these opinions are mere perspectives, not universal truths. Embrace the transient nature of other people's thoughts, and you'll discover a sense of peace that cannot be taken from you. Life is too brief to hand over your happiness and sense of self to the fleeting judgments of others. Instead, focus on the enduring values that define you, and build an inner world where you are unshakable. 8. The value of self-mastery over validation. In a world that endlessly pressures us to seek validation from others, Stoicism offers a radical yet empowering alternative: self-mastery. This path, though challenging, is the essence of true power and freedom. To master oneself in an age where opinions flood in from every direction is not just a choice, it is an act of defiance, a declaration of inner strength. The great Stoics believed that contentment must come from within, and that true independence is found not in the applause of others, but in the quiet confidence of living by one's principles. This idea is echoed in the teachings of Epictetus, a former slave who rose to become one of history's most influential philosophers. He reminds us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. If we take his words to heart, we see that the stress we feel over others' opinions is not because of their judgments, but because of how we interpret their significance. Reflect on this for a moment. How often do you catch yourself tailoring your actions or thoughts to fit the mold others expect? If you're always adjusting to meet someone else's view of success, strength, or integrity, you're effectively giving them the power to define you. The Stoics teach that this power should rest only in your own hands. When you cultivate the mindset that your opinion is the one that truly counts, you liberate yourself from the chains of seeking validation. Seneca, another master of Stoic philosophy, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. With this perspective, self-mastery becomes more than an ideal. It becomes a compass guiding your every decision and action. Achieving self-mastery requires dedicated practice. It is about building habits that enhance your resilience, discipline, and integrity. Start by engaging in daily self-reflection. The Stoics were known for their practice of nightly self-review, where they would mentally walk through the day's events and examine their responses and choices. This isn't about self-criticism. It's about honest self-assessment. Ask yourself, did I act in line with my values today? Did I let the opinions of others dictate my actions? This small act of introspection fosters a deeper understanding of who you are and strengthens your commitment to living by your standards, not someone else's fleeting approval. Virtue, the cornerstone of Stoic life, must also be at the center of your pursuit of self-mastery. Wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance are not just lofty ideals. They are actionable traits that guide how you navigate daily challenges. Picture a moment in your life when you stood firm by your principles despite criticism or doubt. What did that moment teach you? The Stoics believed that these virtues are internal treasures, unassailable by any external force. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it. Your sense of worth must come from embodying these virtues, not from others' acknowledgement. Once you ground yourself in these core values, you'll find that the need for validation gradually diminishes, replaced by a sense of peace that is both profound and unshakable. It's important to acknowledge that this path is not easy. The urge to seek external validation is deeply ingrained, reinforced by years of social conditioning and personal experiences. But every time you choose not to bend under the weight of someone else's judgment, you are fortifying your inner resolve. Think of this as building an inner citadel, a place where your mind is secure and steady. In this fortress, shaped by your own dedication to virtue and self-mastery, you remain indifferent to the fluctuating opinions of the world. This doesn't mean you become detached or uncaring. Rather, it means you become discerning. You learn to accept constructive feedback that aligns with your principles and dismiss the rest as noise. Consider how this approach could shift your perspective in your relationships, career, or community. Would you make decisions differently if you knew you could rely solely on your internal compass? Would you have the courage to pursue what truly matters to you, knowing that your worth isn't determined by the nods or criticisms of others? Remember, the goal isn't to become impervious to others' input, but to reach a point where you can take what is useful and discard what is not, all without compromising your integrity. Self-mastery and independence from validation are journeys worth pursuing, especially for men who have spent decades navigating the expectations of others. It is a path that transforms how you show up in the world, allowing you to live with an unwavering sense of purpose. As you embrace the Stoic path, you build a life aligned with values that matter most to you. This is how you stop caring about what others think and start living authentically, rooted in the wisdom that your actions, guided by virtue and reason, are what truly define you. If you've made it this far, you're on the path to true inner freedom. Drop a comment saying, "I choose my own path," to show your commitment to embracing the Stoic way and letting go of others' opinions. Stay tuned. Your journey to unwavering peace has just begun. 9. Practical applications. All right, let's get into some practical ways to live unapologetically, to truly embody what it means to be authentic in every part of your life. These exercises aren't just nice ideas. They're habits that, if practiced consistently, can help you drop the masks and embrace who you are without hesitation. Start with a daily authenticity check. Each morning, ask yourself, what's one way I can show up more authentically today? It might be sharing an opinion you'd normally hold back, taking time for a hobby you love but have neglected, or simply letting your true personality shine through. At the end of each day, reflect on how that felt. Was there a sense of freedom, or perhaps some resistance. This daily check-in helps you align more and more with your true self each day. Next up is the no challenge. For a week, say no to requests, invitations, or obligations that don't match your values or goals. This isn't about becoming difficult. It's about honoring your boundaries. Saying no when necessary conserves your energy, increases self-respect, and reinforces your priorities. Notice how it feels to make choices that honor your true self, and watch how your energy changes when you're not overextending yourself for the sake of others. Then there's authenticity journaling. Take just 10 minutes a day to write freely, without filters or judgments. Let your pen reveal what's on your mind, what's in your heart. There's something freeing about putting thoughts to paper without the need to impress or censor. This raw, unedited journaling practice will help you connect with your real thoughts and feelings, often revealing aspects of yourself you hadn't fully recognized before. Try the mirror exercise next. Each day, spend a full minute looking yourself in the eye in the mirror. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but ask yourself, can you meet your own gaze with acceptance? Can you acknowledge both your strengths and flaws without flinching? This exercise can be deeply powerful, building a sense of inner respect and self-acceptance that's essential for living unapologetically. When you're able to truly face yourself, it becomes easier to face the world. Authentic communication is another powerful practice. In your next conversation, practice speaking your truth with kindness and honesty. Avoid people-pleasing, dodging, or offering white lies. By doing this, you'll see how genuine communication shifts the quality of your interactions. Real, honest dialogue not only deepens your relationships but also reinforces your sense of integrity and truth. Take time for a values audit as well. List your top 5 values, principles that define what matters most to you. Then look at your recent decisions and actions. Are they aligned with these values? If not, what needs to shift? Aligning your choices with your core values is foundational to living unapologetically and helps ensure you're not compromising on what truly matters to you. Challenge yourself with Fear-Facing Friday. Every Friday, do one thing that scares you but is true to your authentic self. It might be wearing that bold outfit, sharing something you've created, or having a difficult conversation. Facing your fears helps you break through the barriers that hold you back, making room for growth and courage. Remember, discomfort is often a sign of growth, so lean into it. For one day, try an approval detox. Commit to making decisions without looking to others for validation. This means trusting your own judgment and intuition, seeing how it feels to rely solely on yourself. You'll likely notice an increase in confidence and a stronger connection with your own voice, as you build self-trust by valuing your own choices over others' opinions. Try an authenticity meditation for a few minutes each day. Visualize yourself living fully as you are. How do you walk, talk, and interact when you're genuinely, unapologetically you? How does it feel to operate without needing anyone else's approval? This visualization can help reinforce that sense of authenticity in your mind, guiding your actions to align more closely with the person you aspire to be. Finally, add a gratitude twist to your routine. Each night, list 3 things you're grateful for about yourself. Not about what you've achieved, but about your inherent qualities. Maybe it's your sense of humor, resilience, or compassion. By focusing on your qualities rather than your accomplishments, you reinforce the idea that who you are matters just as much as what you do. Self-appreciation strengthens your authenticity by reminding you of the unique qualities you bring to the world. Put these practices into action consistently. These aren't just exercises. They're ways to reshape your approach to life and gradually make unapologetic authenticity a natural part of who you are. This journey is a process, not a quick fix, and it's about making steady progress rather than achieving perfection. Embrace the ups and downs. Learn from each misstep, celebrate every victory, and remember that you're building something valuable, your truest self. As Sophia Bush wisely said, you are allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. So, gentlemen, which of these strategies will you start with today? How will you show up for yourself as the real, unapologetic you? This journey is yours. Make it count. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this journey into the heart of Stoicism and the power of living authentically. If this resonated with you, don't stop here. Take these lessons and make them part of your daily life. Remember, your strength comes from embracing who you are without seeking validation from others. Let the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius guide you. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. If you found value in this video, please give it a like, share it with others who could benefit from this message, and don't forget to subscribe to Stoic In Your Life for more empowering content. Hit that notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos that will help you walk the Stoic path. Your journey to inner freedom and unwavering confidence has just begun. Let's continue it together.